What's up, guys? This has been with 2020 election predictions, and right now, this is my first time going live. I don't think anyone's in here yet. Um, let's see. I might just end the stream until more people come. But what I would like to do is do some live videos every now and then, maybe once or twice a week. And I would like to do it where I have like a little part of the screen where I can show you maybe some information, and then I can also talk in the corner. So if y'all have any questions right now, I would feel free to ask. Do you see Trump winning? Right now, I do think that Trump has improved his position. So I think he hit rock bottom probably in early July. If I look at the betting odds, especially on predicted, Donald Trump was down at about 39 cents. Right now, he's up to 44 cents, and where he has improved in terms of where people think he's going to win is in a state like Florida, Iowa, Ohio. No one really thinks that Texas is a swing state anymore, and I never really thought Texas was a swing state. So I definitely think that we've seen Trump come up from his rock bottom, but right now I still think Biden has a huge advantage. And one place where I think that where Trump a situation where definitely Trump could improve is if Biden does start to flounder. He has started to have some gaffes now, like especially with this one yesterday when he said the African American community was just not as diverse as the Latino community. I mean, if Biden keeps on making statements like that, especially in more high profile cases, like in the 3 debates that happen, that will definitely not be good. So right now, I think Trump probably has about like a 30% chance to win. Probably about where he was in 2016. So thank you all for all the comments right here. Do you think Kanye West will hurt or help Donald Trump winning this election? I really don't think Kanye will have a huge impact. I have seen that there's actually some Republicans in maybe like Wisconsin who are trying to boost Kanye West. The idea here is that having Kanye in the race could draw black voters away from Biden. I really don't think Kanye West will even be as big as a third party candidate as like Gary Johnson or Jill Stein was in 2016. I really don't see there being a huge third party swell. Even though like both the candidates, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, um, they're not like perfect candidates by any means, and their favorabilities are not very high. Like Joe Biden is not Barack Obama by any means. And I mean, he's very old. I mean, both candidates are going to be the oldest elected presidents if they win. So there definitely could be room for a third party candidate. But I think people are just so polarized right now that there's not going to be really a third party surge. Which state are you from? Thank you all for all the comments. People from Florida that I've talked to are surprisingly confident he will win the state. Well, I think that definitely could happen. The polls were wrong in 2018, in the 2018 midterms, but I mean, the polls have Biden up by 6 or 7 points, and Hillary Clinton was never there in 2020. We've seen some data that's showing that elderly voters, like senior voters over the age of 65, are turning away from Trump. I've seen some data that suggests that, but I don't know how much that will have an impact. But Florida is one of the states that has a disproportionate amount of seniors voting. Which state are you from, and what do you predict? And what do you predict it will vote on the presidential Senate level? I'm actually from the state of Tennessee, and so we just recently had our primary elections, and Tennessee is a pretty solid Republican state. Marsha Blackburn won in 2018 on the Senate level. I mean, in recent memory, the last president that won in Tennessee was Bill Clinton. We just had a primary where Bill Hagerty became the Republican nominee for Senate, and he will win in 2020. Let's see. Dragon Master Gaming says, I don't trust the polls. Well, I mean, I do think based on the 2016 results, you can definitely say that like the polls were not accurate. And I mean, I don't completely trust the polls now either. I do think they're underestimating Trump support, especially in the Rust Belt. I mean, the Rust Belt completely underestimated Trump in 2016. I think they're doing it again. I think the shy voter effect, basically where people like they'll get called by these pollsters. First of all, one reason I don't trust the polls is I've never been called to do a poll, and I really don't know like how many people have really got called to do polls. I mean, there's only like 1,000 people who they sample. But basically, what the shy Trump voter effect is that people will call, the pollsters will call people, and they won't admit that they're voting for Trump just because of just in a social setting, in some social settings, it's not attractive to a vote for Trump. So I definitely think this could be skewing the polls a little bit. Do you think Arizona will go blue? Right now, I have it purely as a toss-up. I mean, the polls have Biden up in Arizona, but I still think Trump maybe holds a slight advantage. He won it by 3.5 points in 2016. And I think he'll probably it will be under a point in 2020, either if Trump or Biden wins. On the Senate level, I think that Mark Kelly holds a pretty strong advantage over Martha McSally. Alabama Senate race odds. I mean, I think this is 90+% in Tommy Tuberville's favor. Doug Jones won this election under very, very unique circumstances that were very, very beneficial to the Democrats. In 2017, there was a special election where Roy Moore was the Republican candidate. He was accused of being a child molester, and I mean, no one wants to elect a child molester to the Senate. Do you see where job numbers are coming back? Yes, I do see that the job numbers are coming back. One thing that I question about is like how much these job matters matter, or how much these job numbers matter. I think it will definitely help in terms of like people getting back to work. So those people might have a more positive outlook on the economy and thank President Trump for that or attribute that to President Trump. But overall, I don't think people are voting purely on, or did the job numbers go up 500,000 or 1 million? Let's see. Yeah, not saying they're completely wrong, but people feel like if they answered Trump to pollsters, they could be lectured or made fun of. I think that's definitely true. Who do you think is going to win, Trump or Biden? I said right now that I think Biden is going to win, but honestly, I think right now Trump is exactly how he was in 2016, and in 2016 he won. I do think there's a lot of things different from 2020 and 2016, and I'm going to explain this in a video tomorrow. But if we purely look at the polls in the popular vote, Hillary Clinton and Biden are right where they were. Who do you think is Biden's smartest pick for winning the election and a governing partner? Frankly, I'm just going to answer the first part of this question just because I don't frankly know who's going to be better governing. This is mainly an election-based channel. I think Kamala Harris is probably the smarter choice. I think Susan Rice is very associated with the scandals under the Obama administration, whether it's like Benghazi or some other things. I don't think Karen Bass would be very smart at all. She's very like tied to Scientology. I think she's more of a risky candidate. The only downside with Kamala Harris is it will see that like Biden might be getting manipulated because I mean, she went at Trump hard in the first debate, basically saying that Biden was a segregationist and all this stuff. However, right now, I think Kamala Harris is the safer choice. I think right now the Biden campaign is all just in the safe mode. They don't want to take any big risks. They're doing just fine campaigning, not having Biden really in public, and just having him kind of in his basement, as the Trump campaign likes to say, and kind of let Trump make mistakes, let Trump do these interviews where he's going to get tripped up, and kind of keep Biden away from the national press. Because we've seen the past few days when Biden goes in front of the cameras, something's going to go wrong. Let's see. Also, people can be stubborn and they won't change their mind. That helps Trump. Do you think Bernie Sanders could have defeated Trump in 2016? I do not think that Bernie Sanders could have beaten Trump. I actually think that Hillary Clinton was the safer choice in 2016. I understand that a lot of the Bernie bros did not come out and vote for Hillary Clinton, but I mean, Bernie Sanders, I think that a lot of the more moderate Democrats would have just sat out of the 2016 election. Because I mean, Bernie Sanders is a self-proclaimed democratic socialist, and in 2020, I definitely think Biden was the safer choice compared to Bernie. If Bernie would have been the nominee, I mean, this would be the craziest election. What do you think is the weakest campaign, the biggest weakness of the Biden campaign right now? I just think it's Biden himself. I think the Biden campaign is doing everything right now. The only thing that the Biden campaign has to worry about is the candidate himself. And I think this is pretty similar to the Trump campaign as well. But the Biden campaign is trying to hide him as much as he can because when he goes on the network shows, you've seen that, like, I mean, these networks have said publicly that they've asked for Joe Biden to come on their shows, but he doesn't. The only kind of live streams he does are kind of like campaign based things where he invites people, so they're going to be very favorable to him. But he's unwilling to even go on CNN or MSNBC, which would be more favorable to him, just because I think they're afraid that Biden's going to do a gaffe. I think one of the weaknesses that Biden's going to have to overcome is the three debates. I really think this is going to be a game changer. People have said that they don't let Biden go into the debates because I think they realize that that's where Biden is weak. Although Trump is a loose cannon, I mean, Biden, you just really never know with him. Just because I think he is getting older and he's not as sharp as he used to be. The biggest weakness for the Trump campaign, I think right now, is just with the coronavirus. I think that Trump has not handled the coronavirus perfectly, and I think that has affected everyone, even if you aren't into politics at all. So if what the biggest obstacle for the Trump campaign is trying to spin the narrative on the coronavirus that Trump was the necessary leader. So we will see how that goes. And yeah, let's see. So do you think Trump's going to lose? Right now, I think it's up in the air, but I think Biden definitely holds an advantage. Let's see. No, but that would have helped him win even Minnesota. Yeah, he could have won Minnesota. Yeah, so Hillary Clinton was definitely the better choice out of the two, but of course she was not like the perfect choice. Like if Barack Obama could have won for a third term, I definitely think he would have beaten Donald Trump. Um, and I mean, some people think that it was sexism why Hillary Clinton didn't win. I think a different woman could have won that race. I definitely don't think it was just because she was a woman. I think Hillary Clinton was ridden with scandal, and there was just part of her that just kind of thought she was conniving and not trustworthy. And I think people just, even though they might not have liked Trump, these swing voters, they saw Trump for who he was. Trump isn't someone who can hide something. I mean, he's literally incapable of it. Hillary was definitely more conniving. And if you've seen House of Cards, I think a lot of people thought Hillary Clinton was kind of like Kevin Spacey or his wife in that show. It would be hilarious if Trump wins against one of the most formidable presidents and then loses against that. That would be pretty ironic. I wouldn't really consider Hillary Clinton the most formidable presidential candidate in history. True, she was very experienced. She did have a lot of history in politics. However, I mean, people have argued that they were both two of the worst candidates in history and that it was just like holding your nose and having to vote. Barack Obama was not this way. Even like Al Gore or John Kerry, I think they would have won races against Donald Trump. Bill Clinton. I consider Hillary Clinton a lot like Michael Dukakis, someone who just wasn't that popular and wasn't very formidable. Let's see. Ben, do you think she'd beat Cruz, Rubio, Jeb, or Carson? All right. So I've done a Ted Cruz versus Hillary Clinton election night, and I actually have Hillary Clinton very narrowly winning. I don't think Ted Cruz would have had the same excitement in the Rust Belt that Donald Trump had. I don't think Ted Cruz would have been able to flip Michigan nor Pennsylvania. I think Ted Cruz could have won Wisconsin, and if Ted Cruz won every state that Donald Trump did, except for Michigan and Pennsylvania, that would have gotten Ted Cruz a 270 or 269 votes, which would have won him the election. But I'm not even sure that he would have won Wisconsin. It is true that in the Republican primary, Ted Cruz did win, but the voters that put Trump over the top in 2016 weren't the people who voted in the GOP primary in 2016, or they would have voted for Trump. The establishment definitely towards the end of the 2016 Republican primary were kind of all in for Cruz, and these establishment voters weren't the ones that were going to vote for Trump, but not for Cruz. It was kind of the old school Democrats who won Trump the election in the Rust Belt. I do think Marco Rubio would have won. I think Marco Rubio could have even improved on Trump's victory in 2016. And I also think that John Kasich could have won. Jeb Bush would have lost against Hillary Clinton. I mean, Jeb Bush just was not exciting at all. I mean, if we would have had a third Bush president, I think that like none of the kind of Trump's base voters would turn out for Jeb Bush. I mean, no one's going to go to a Jeb Bush rally. Ben Carson's pretty interesting. I actually don't know. I think Hillary Clinton probably would have won against Ben Carson, but I don't think Ben Carson was really tested enough. He dropped out before he kind of anyone could really imagine him going against Hillary Clinton. Let's see. Doing some more election nights. I'll try to do some more election nights. I do forget that John Kerry exists sometimes. Let's see. I do not think Barbara Boiler still has a chance in Kansas. I mean, Kansas is a reliably Republican state. I think there was a that had like Kansas +5, but let me actually look at the in Kansas. Trump won by 19 points. So no, I don't think that Representative Marshall, who's a pretty popular establishment House of Representatives, will have any problems beating Barbara Boiler. I do plan on going live at some point on Election Day, and I would love for y'all to tune in. I know there are some competing YouTube channels that are going to be live too, and there's going to be wall-to-wall coverage, but I definitely want to go live at some point. Let's see. When can you do an election night? I'll try to do an election night by the end of the month. So I'll definitely do that. So what do you think of Alan Lichtman's 2020 prediction? I just did a video about this. I actually don't think Alan Lichtman's so he came up with 13 true or false questions. I think he answered some of those wrong. He said that Trump was not a charismatic candidate. His argument was that Trump is too divisive, therefore he can't be charismatic. So he only appeals to his base. He's only charismatic to his base. I mean, I can understand this argument. However, I think that Trump is charismatic to, I would say, maybe like 40% of the electorate, and like that is enough to be considered charismatic. I mean, I think people would definitely consider Barack Obama to be charismatic, but he was only charismatic to what 50-60% of the population. And also, Lichtman argues that Trump didn't have any foreign policy achievements. I think this one is very debatable. Trump has touted that he was the one who wiped out ISIS. Definitely, ISIS is not as big as a threat as it was in 2016. I definitely think there's probably some spillover from Barack Obama's presidency. I mean, it was wiped out pretty early into 2017. So how much is that due to Trump? And you could also attribute that Trump's lack of failure in foreign policy. Lichtman does admit that Trump hasn't had any big failures. But does that translate into success? Who knows? So I think that Lichtman's methodology is a little bit flawed. He predicted that Trump would win the popular vote in 2016, which was wrong because Trump didn't win. And so in 2020, he projects that Biden will win the popular vote, but this doesn't mean anything. I don't think anyone thinks that Trump is going to win the popular vote. Trump could lose the election by 5, 6, 7 million votes on the popular scale and still win with the electoral college. He lost by 3 million votes in 2016 and won. So no one really cares about the popular vote. So Alan Lichtman's model is not relevant in my opinion, but it is interesting to look at. I watched his video op-ed and it was entertaining. So I would encourage y'all to do that. Do you think Biden's VP pick will help him or hurt him? I gotta go either way with this. So I think Biden himself is not a very threatening figure. If Kamala Harris would run in his place, I don't think she would do as well. I mean, we've seen these polls like that. They had Kamala Harris versus Trump, Biden versus Trump. Biden outperformed Trump every single time. However, I think it will help Biden in that people will have more confidence, or more Democrats will have more confidence in Biden, because I think right now, if Biden didn't have a vice presidential candidate, people would be very scared, because I was even just listening to the Joe Rogan podcast the other day, and he said that he would rather vote for Trump over Biden just because Biden isn't there. I mean, Biden just kind of this void, and that his handlers are controlling him. So if I think Kamala Harris or like Susan Rice could help him in that, like, there'd be more steadiness and people would feel like that there's kind of this new generation of Democratic leaders. I think it would rally up the base. However, the Republicans like Fox News, Tucker Carlson has already done this, are just going to kind of label the vice presidential candidate as the nominee, and they're going to try to elevate whoever that is to kind of the presidency, because I think that right now Biden is the safest choice for the Democrats. But if anyone else were to run in his place, then I think it would hurt them in a general election against Trump. Buddy, who do you predict Biden will select for a running mate? Right now, I think it's going to be Kamala Harris or Susan Rice, and I would say that Kamala Harris probably holds a small advantage. I'm actually going to look at the predicted thing just to look at who they have. So right now they have Kamala Harris at 33 points and Kamala Harris at 48 points and Susan Rice at 33 points. So I do agree with that. Let's see. Are you going to vote for Biden or Trump? I'm not going to express my own political leanings on this. You can speculate as much as you want, but yeah, I'll just leave that there. What do you think is AOC's political future? I frankly don't know. I think she's probably going to continue to succeed. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. I have been summoned to dinner, so thank y'all for joining my live stream. And if there's anything else lately, I'll try to do these more and more, and I'll try to do it where I can have my face on the screen and have the map on there too. So thank you all for joining my live stream, and I'll try to do these more often. And please just leave in the comments, or you can send anything else to help me come up with ideas for the future. Thanks, guys.